Hello, everyone, and welcome to the ImaginAdventures Podcast. This is Mahina. I'm very happy to have you here. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you've had a wonderful day and week or evening. And yes, happy to have you here. So this week, it's going to be quite interesting. I want to talk to you about something very different and quite unusual. Just in the sense that it might resonate a lot with some people and maybe less with others, but just stay with me and listen and see if you find that interesting, and because I would love to know if you do, and what was your biggest takeout from that podcast. So please leave in the comments what you thought about it in the end. So yes, I want to talk to you about the 10 ways that video games can help with self-development. Interestingly enough, video games, seriously, are part of our life now. If you think about it, we all play games on our phones. Games are not something that only children do anymore. And if you are like me, I was lucky enough to get a wonderful gift recently, and it was a Nintendo Switch. And with this came the game called Zelda Breath of the Wild. So for everyone and anyone who knows this game and has played it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, game created according to people who play games on a regular basis. I am no expert, but I am not new to video games, obviously. I've always loved playing games. When I was younger, I used to play Pokemon on a Game Boy. And I have played PlayStation games, and obviously I have played, and I still play The Sims sometimes. So very, very interesting games. And so I want to talk to you today about how these video games have literally helped me with my on my journey to self-development. They have helped me grow, and I want to go into more details as to why and how. It's just very important to realize that video games have changed my life in a way. And so just in the same way that a good book or an amazing movie can change your life because it will stay with you forever, video games do something very similar. So let's dive into those 10 ways that video game can help with self-development. So number one, very obvious, but escapism. Playing a video game makes you feel really good. It allows you to escape your current reality. Most people are not necessarily living the life of their dreams yet. And so sometimes we are plagued with worries or we have a lot on our plate, and playing video games allows us to literally escape this world and go to another world. The great thing about that is, even more so than a great book obviously takes you to wonderful places. An amazing movie, a movie that you feel really pulled into, it's also going to be great to help you escape reality for a bit. But when you play a game, you are the character. You're playing the character. You're making the decision for the character. So you are definitely identifying with the character in a way that it is very hard to pay attention sometimes to what's going on around you in your current reality. You usually make sure that you have time to play that game. Or even if you are, say, at the doctor and you're waiting for an appointment and you're playing your game on your phone, you'll find that it helps you pass the time quicker. And it's just a really relaxing way of passing time. And it helps you forget about the world in a way. It doesn't mean that the world is not a good place to be, but just that sometimes video games will help you with feeling better. And that is very important on a self-development basis, because feeling good is actually something that we literally underestimate. We all want to feel good, But we think that outside circumstances have to change for us to feel good. And when we do things like playing a video game, we actually realize that we can do little things every day that make us feel better. It can be a video game, can be a game, any game on the phone, and it can be reading a book or doing something that feels good. It can also be exercising and going outside, going for a walk. Video game is just one of these examples. So for self-development, definitely really good escapism. The number two way that video games can help with self-development is, in my personal opinion anyway, video games help you get so much more creative. When you play a video game, any video game to be honest, but especially Zelda Breath of the Wild or video games like that, which have been developed by, according to someone I know who works in that field, pretty much 200 people or more. These games are so strategic and they are so well thought about. Every detail has been thought of, that they open your mind. You know, when you play that game, when you are the main character in Zelda, but even in other games like Pokemon, like Sony, like Mario Kart or Mario, like even The Sims, you have to think outside the box. You get to think of new ways of doing things. And for me, what I have personally observed is over the last 3 months of playing Zelda Breath of the Wild, I definitely have become so much more creative. I am using part of my brain that I wasn't using so much anymore. So it has reactivated some parts of my brain. I can just feel it, and I just feel more productive. I feel stronger in a way, more resilient. So this is very, very interesting. Definitely more creative. So one of those ways that video games can help with self-development is that it will make you more creative. I sincerely believe that everybody would benefit from playing more games. Obviously, we don't want to be fully addicted. We know that playing games produces endorphins, makes you happy. And, but the thing is, you don't want to be so into that game that you forget about the real world. What I like, and especially again with a game such as Zelda Breath of the Wild, and in a way this is another way that video game helps with self-development, is that it's so it's similar to our real life in so many ways. Doesn't really matter what game actually, but in almost every game, you have quests, you have missions, you have goals that need to be achieved. You have to pass a certain level. In Pokemon, you beat other trainers, and then your Pokemon get better and evolve in the end. In Zelda, you get better equipment, you get better weapons, you get better strategies. In some other games, like Sacred, which I used to play ages ago, really good game, you also get to better and better levels, which allows you to use better and better magical powers, for example. So there are ways that, in these games, you have almost tangible things that you need to achieve. It's tangible in the game anyway. You need to achieve those things to unlock the next level of the game, or to go to the next area, or to beat the next boss, whatever. But in life, it's exactly the same. When we have a big goal or a bigger vision, and we break it down in smaller goals, it feels the same. We are on a quest. We are on a journey, and we should enjoy that journey. We are on a quest to achieve the goal, to beat the big boss in a way, to become the greater version of ourselves. And this is exactly what you do when you're playing a game. And that leads me to the fourth reason, or fourth way that video game helps with self-development, is that I found that when you play a character, you identify with that character quite a lot. and I'm sure that people who play The Sims, but even playing games like Pokemon, and especially games like Zelda, or games where you really are the character throughout the whole game, you're the same character, you begin to feel empathy for your character, you begin to care for your character. A really cool example is, for example, in Zelda Breath of the Wild, you have to find the best food possible, and then you have to cook special, like certain recipes to get certain amount of powers or strength or stamina or whatever. And so you literally want your character, your hero, to eat well, and to have the best clothing or weapon or tools possible, right? So that it can advance to the next level well equipped. You don't want to just jump in and not be prepared. And it's a very, very cool analogy to use in real life, because I have found that I personally have been putting myself first a lot more since I have played or begun to play that game. I've been more busy in a way because I've kept getting more and more clients, and I have been playing, so I've spent time playing, but because everything came in a way that it was organized around my self-care and about self-love and caring for myself first, it doesn't feel overwhelming and it doesn't feel like it's too much. So it actually feels fun. Life feels really fun because I'm doing what I love, and in my free time I'm doing more things that I love, but all of my life is all about doing what I love and taking care of myself. So I even found that I want to cook better food. I want to nourish my body in a more conscious kind of way. So interestingly enough, playing that game has made me so much more self-aware and about how I treat myself and how I treat my body. Has even made me feel more empathetic towards my own self and body, interestingly enough. And so I found that this is a very good benefit of playing video games. You really feel almost like I would say empathy. You care for your character. You want your character to succeed, just like you want your avatar of this life, your you, the you that you choose to be every day, to also succeed. So very, very important self-care, self-love. Okay, number 5. Obviously, that's also part of the same thing, but playing such games will oh my god, yes, it will boost your confidence, boost your self-esteem. It really empowers us, not just because we become stronger in the game. We literally become more resilient in real life. So I have found that this was the case for every single game. I was still playing Pokemon when I was going through my years at university, and I found that achieving or finishing a whole game or achieving a certain level for all of my Pokemon, as silly as it may sound, made me a lot more confident that I could achieve my result in my exams when I was studying. And it was really interesting because as I went through the years, even though English was not my first language. So normally people who go to university, the years are getting harder and harder. So year number 1, you get a certain marks. Year number 2, you get a little bit less. And year number 3, a little bit less. And hopefully by then you still pass. But for me, with the total opposite, I got better and better marks, which was quite interesting. It was partly because my English became better. And and I think that it was also because I was ready to tackle any challenge and take on those challenges and overcome those obstacles. And seriously, yes, I was all alone. I was in a new country, and playing that game in the weekend when I had free time really boosted my confidence. And the same thing happened again when I played that new game, Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's also a very beautiful, like graphically beautiful game. You just you love being in that game. And I've actually finished the game, although it is quite an infinite game. You don't want to finish it because there are so many things to discover, and it makes you really curious. But it definitely helped boost my confidence in not just starting my own business, but launching myself, taking more risk, and definitely making yet another dream come true. So I am now on the verge of moving to a brand new country and starting a new phase of my life. And I sincerely believe again that playing that game has played a big part in that. It has pushed me to go beyond my own perceived limits again, because we all have them. And I just felt natural in a way. But it definitely boosted my self-esteem, and it empowered me to just keep going forward. And I'm very excited about what's going to happen next. So yes, see you all in Bali. Then, alright, number 6, sorry. So number 6 is, again, like I said, it's a very, very beautiful game, especially Zelda Breath of the Wild. But any game, I feel, in a way, as even as game like as a Sims. So sometimes on the phone you have those little farm games, or those little hotels games, or chef's games. And in the Sims you have a game that looks like real life, but not quite the same, but it does have that feeling of looking like real life. It doesn't actually matter. What I found is that when you play a video game, you actually develop, for whatever reason, because the game is similar to your real world, like in Zelda Breath of the Wild, or because the game is not always very different from the real world, a part of us really develops a real sense of appreciation for our actual reality, for our real world, for our planet. So if you're like me, you love playing your video games or your games on your phone, but you enjoy, well, I do anyway, but enjoy even more going out for walks. Appreciating every cloud, every tree on the way, every bird, every animal that I come across, in a very on a whole different level. Because I know, well, especially in Zelda, you can tell that it is possible to recreate an ambience that literally, if we could have those electrodes put all over our bodies and have that mask put on, and all of our senses would be involved, and in the game it would be very difficult to tell which is real and which is not, I think, because it looks very similar to our real world. But it's okay, but it also makes me really appreciate the beauty of our planet, of our world. So in a different way, different games in different ways. In Zelda, because it looks so similar, but it emphasizes the beauty of the planet, because the world there is beautiful. It really makes you look at nature and with different eyes, just appreciating the beauty of nature. In other games that are very anime-like or cartoon-like, that look very, very different, again, when you step out of your room and you go outside, you really appreciate that you're not in front of the screen and that you're outside. So that's another way that video games help with self-development, I believe. And then something very important, number 7, is so again, especially in Zelda Breath of the Wild, because it is what I've most recently played. But again, in any game, but this game is particularly good at showing you that. So if you haven't given it a try yet, I highly recommend you do. This kind of game, these games in general anyway, can make you so much more aware of the unlimited possibilities, not just in the games, but in the world. So in many games you can choose, even in The Sims, for example, you can choose what you're going to wear, you can choose what job you're going to do, you can choose a lot of stuff, what house you're going to have and how it's going to look. In Pokemon, you can choose what Pokemon you are going to catch and which one you're going to evolve first. So a lot of people play those games again and again and again because there are so many different possibilities there. In Zelda Breath of the Wild, what amazed me was, it's very simple in a way, but it's amazing. The way that you have a mountain and you feel like the character has to climb that mountain, but it's not able to because it doesn't have the stamina to reach the top, for example. So if you stop there and you go back, you will never climb that mountain. But if you try many different ways and many different spots of the same mountain, you do manage at some point to actually climb that mountain, because there are infinite possibilities as to how you can climb that mountain. It sounds very interesting and silly in a way, but very powerful to me. And it's the same way that there are infinite ways of beating different adversaries in the games. It really reopened my mind to the unlimited possibilities of our own world. So obviously we're playing the game of life, and we can't switch off and begin a new game, not that we're aware of anyway. Maybe that's what life is about. Maybe life is an actual game and somebody is playing our character and we're just avatars of some divine being. But it doesn't really matter because we don't remember. So we feel that we're playing the one game, right? But in that one game, it is very interesting. I have seen it happen because I am specializing in that as a quantum manifestation coach. I make my dreams and other people's dreams come true. And when I say that, I mean it. We choose something that we want to become, what we want to do, that we want to have. We work with it in a way that involves the psychological, scientific, and spiritual aspect of life, of everything we know. We debunk old and unnecessary beliefs and self-limiting beliefs, and we recreate a new reality until we collapse space and time as a quantum manifestation coach, and we bring that new reality into your life. But the thing is, when we choose what it is that we want, it is very interesting because it's very important to be clear on what you want when you manifest your ideal life, when you want to grow. But it's also very interesting to know that you have a choice. You can choose. And when you realize that you have a choice, you realize that there are a limited amount of possibilities as to what you can choose. So very, very important point here. Yes. And that is one way, again, that video games, especially Zelda, has helped me never take that for granted, just becoming so aware of that. So, number 8 is choice. It's very linked to number 7. You have a choice. So the way that video game can help you with self-development is remind you again and again and again that you are in charge, just the same way that you are in charge of your main character when you play a game. You're actually in charge of your own life. So it's very good to play video games again because it boosts self-esteem and it boosts confidence. It takes you away from any victim mentality you may have, and it really makes you feel like you are the hero of your own adventure, the hero of your own life, and you get to choose. So in the games, you can choose your skills, your armor, you can choose which way you're gonna go, you can choose what Pokemon you're gonna choose, you can choose what character you're gonna play, you can choose many things. And in life, it is the same. Don't let anybody tell you that this is how things are and you don't have a choice. You always have a choice. If there are some circumstances in your life in which sometimes you feel you cannot change and you don't have a choice, for example, let's take a big dramatic example. A tsunami happens, right? So it is an outside circumstance and there's nothing you can do about it, but it is how you react to that. You can choose to be the victim and to feel hopeless, and obviously everybody is going to feel hopeless when they lose everything that they have. But let's just remember that life is all about self-growth and growth, and I really believe that people who have gone through really difficult moments in their lives become stronger for that, and they actually become the person they were always meant to be. And so there's no shame, there's nothing to be ashamed of. And it is good to realize that we can have experienced trauma and experience hard, difficult relationships or difficult situations in our life, but we don't have to be a victim. We can appreciate the fact that at this point we were a victim, and now decide that we are changing perspective, taking ownership of our own life, taking our own power back in our own hands, and deciding, okay, I'm going to use that experience as a stepping stone, that challenge as something that's going to spur me forward, that obstacle as something that once I get over it, once I overcome it, I feel more excited, I feel better, I feel stronger. So yes, choice, very important, and taking you away from the victim mentality. Believe it or not, we all fall prey to that once in a while, because we all have that innate need for attention. It is nothing bad, but it is something that we, a lot of us, most people, I think, for some reason, I think it's the way society was organized and the way we are being told to grow up as a child. Obviously, it depends on the culture that you grow up in, but most people feel unworthy of love and of success and of anything that they desire. But I'm here to tell you that you are not unworthy, and that if you have a desire, if you can imagine something in your head, it's because it is meant to be yours. So, remember that as long as you're a victim, you think that you have no power in life. You think that things are happening to you. But remember, life is happening for you. And the more you work with that, and you can, you're welcome to send me a message and we can talk about that and I can prove it to you. Life works for you. Once you are aligned with who you are, who you want to be, and you stay true to your values, it's just like in the book The Alchemist. The universe will conspire to help you make your dreams come true every single time. You just need to be fully aligned with whoever you want to be and who you really, really are. You cannot lie to yourself. You can't lie to the universe. Right. So, yes. So, number 9. Very interestingly enough, it's playing video games make me question about life. It really makes me wonder if we are not already in a video game, in a simulation. It's just very interesting. The more you play video games, the more you ask yourself the question. And when you see what people are able to create nowadays that looks so similar to our reality, some people have come up with a theory that we may be in a simulation. If that was the case, it means that everything we believe is programmed, everything we do is programmed. It doesn't mean that we don't have free will, but it could mean that we have the illusion that we have free will. But either way, I think it doesn't matter, because whether we actually have free will or we believe that we do, does it really matter? No. Because if you think that you made the decision to marry that person or to have that child or to move to that country, but actually somebody else was programming you to do that and to feel like you made that decision, and you don't know the difference, it really doesn't matter as long as you feel good because you feel you've made that decision yourself. So it's quite cool. It doesn't matter. So sometimes it's good to let go of those what is my destiny? Can I choose my destiny? Both ways. I think it is working both ways. I think it's like in a game. A game is it's very similar in a way. It's very interesting to see. Look at a game, the way it's created. It has a purpose. It has a whole bunch of quests and missions and stuff. And some characters, some people will play the game and they will do all of the quests and they will achieve all of the, complete all of the missions. And they will beat the big boss. Now, to win the game, everybody has to beat the big boss, for example. But so many different people can go about winning the game or finishing the game in many different ways. So, and the same works in life, because reality is also the same way that it works, that you can go about going about life in different ways. I don't know if that makes sense, but life is also a game. You can choose. Again, it goes back to choice, really. But yeah, very interesting. And then what makes me really feel good about playing such games is that in every game you that's number 10. In every game, you all want to finish a game. You all want to get to the finish line, but you don't want to. So it's a little bit like when you're reading a book that you love. You want to know what's going to happen, but you don't want to get to the end. You watch a good movie. You want to know what happens. You don't want the movie to finish. When you play a game, you actually get a choice to make your game last longer or be shorter, depending on how you feel and on the context that you're in. And it's just very interesting because it makes you realize that once you've won the game, this was not the actual goal. What was the actual goal was to enjoy the game, to have found as many, so for example in Zelda, as many shrines as possible, and to have found as many equipment that is just amazing as possible. In The Sims, it can be to have achieved the career that you wanted to, or to have created the house that you wanted to, or the families that you've wanted to, but enjoying the journey. Once you have created that house or created that family, what happens for a lot of us is we start over. We start over because having that house finished in The Sims is cool, but this, once it's done, okay, so what's next? We want to do it again. Why do we want to do it again? Why do we love games so much? Because it's so enjoyable. And what's enjoyable is not necessarily getting to the finishing bit or to the finish line. It is the journey. And it really makes me, and a lot of people actually that I talk to who also play games, makes us realize that in life too, the journey is what matters. So very interesting. The more you play a game, the more you are going to be aware of that. When you play a game at the beginning, it's like when you start a new job or a new relationship, you feel very vulnerable and insecure. When you start a new game, when I started Zelda, I hadn't played video games for a long time and I felt really uncomfortable. I was like, maybe this is not for me. Maybe this is not a great game because I don't really know how it works and I don't know what I'm doing. But the more you go into that game, the more you practice a skill, the more you get stronger and you get better equipment. Same as in life, the more you work on that software that you've been told to master, the more you spend time with a loved one and get to know them, the better you become at enjoying the journey. Now, you may not see where exactly you're going. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. And in the game, it's the same thing. You don't know what's around the corner. Could be a monster. Could be the only different thing in the game is that you can die and lose and then play again. But in many, many ways, we do that on a continuous basis as well. When we have a rejection, it's a redirection. We begin anew. It's almost like a mini death. It's the same thing. It's a renewal. It's another chance. It's another day. It's another opportunity. People think that when they go through a breakup, it's the end of the world, or because it feels sad. Well, when you lose against a few monsters, or when you don't get the promotion in the sense that you wanted, or whatever, you can feel disappointed or even angry. Or sad, but you quickly realize, quicker in a game, that it is another opportunity. You don't want to give up. You always like, okay, I can't beat this guy now. Let's try again, and you're gonna try again and again and again. And the good thing is that usually in the end you win. So this is how games, I find the good games are really amazing. So a good game is a game where you have a really good challenge, but you can actually find ways to beat the bad guy, for example, or to achieve a certain level that you want, whatever game it is that you play. And in life, it's the same thing. We think that we have failed. We think that we are going through failures, but it's not. It's every single time it's a new mini death, and it's a new opportunity to start something new, to find new opportunities, to change perspective, to do something differently. And usually when we do that, it like in Zelda, for example, I would beat a monster and I would not have any arrows, and then I would need to get more money to get more arrows to beat the next monster. Okay, so just think about that. But if I had beaten the monster using one arrow with all of the arrows I've had before, I would not have gone through the whole process that I had to, because I used all of my arrows. Now, when I went through that whole process of finding more money, so I had to find food to then sell the food and find more money to buy more arrows, I discovered a whole bunch of new things that I didn't know about the game. How to get chests, how to swim, how to... stuff that, obviously it's in the game, but new stuff. I discovered a whole bunch of new things about the game that I would probably never have found out if I had just beaten the boss with one arrow. So the same thing in life happens, when you fail or you think it's a failure and you get knocked down by life or something happens to you, you actually uncover and discover so much more about yourself. And this is really, really important to remember and to consider, because we think that there's one way we want to go about things, and then we think that life is against us. Things happen to us, but it's actually not for it's nothing. It's the universe not working against you. It is a redirection. It is always has a purpose. Nothing happens by chance. There's no coincidence. That's what I believe. And everything happens for a reason. And so trust the process. Trust that. Believe in yourself. Know that when something is not working out your way, it's usually because the universe is actually guiding you in a better direction for you. So take the cue. If you're not feeling good and somebody breaks up with you, it's not the right person for you. Just go somewhere else and try something else. Of course, we all have emotion and feelings, so it takes the time to grieve and get over that. But it's going to make you stronger. You suffer trauma, you have an accident, you have an illness, you overcome a whole bunch of obstacles in life. And every obstacle, everything you overcome makes you a different person, a stronger person, a better person, a stronger and better version of yourself. And this is what video games are all about. At the end of the game, you don't want to just win the game. You want to have developed your character in a way that it is the best character it could possibly be. And that's what you want to do in life. Become the best version or the best person you can be. Aligned with your values, doing what you love, living the abundant life. So this was a very different podcast, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that if you're not playing video games, give it a try. You might find that it's something that you will really, really enjoy. If it doesn't resonate with you, it's absolutely fine. But if you've listened all the way up to now, then it means that it is something that you really resonate with. And if that's the case, I would love to know what you think in the comments. So please subscribe or comment on this podcast, and obviously I am always available if you want to have a chat or talk more about that or about making dreams come true. I can help. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Have a beautiful day, beautiful evening, beautiful week, beautiful weekend, and I will be speaking to you next week. Bye.